And yes, these definitions have to be remembered. Is not remembered for a problem happen to mention it. Is remembered where you enough where you can at least draw a line from the word to the definition. Okay, you don't have to, you're not going to have to like write out word for word, right? But you're going to at least be able to fill in spaces or draw a line from one to another. Is that fair? All right. I know this is the boring part. I'm sorry. But I figured this is the best way to present it because if I just give you a PDF, you'll be like, okay, great. Back of the binder, right? I rather write it out so that you guys have a chance to write it out as well. All right, here we go. Statistic. The science of collecting, organizing, summarizing, and analyzing. Information to draw conclusions. I'm gonna at least make it different colors so that you guys can at least feel like, wow, okay, this at least colorful. Okay there? Data. Let me see. Data is used to, how do I want to write this? Describes characteristics of an individual. Population. Entire group of individuals. Oh, I don't even want to put this one down. A person or object that is a member of the population. Mm-mm. I have to remember that this page is going to be a PDF. So I need to write somewhat neatly so that you guys can actually read this instead of sometimes I go like really fast, but the pre-recorded notes are much nicer. Sample. Hmm. That's not the color I was choosing. Let me see. Okay. Is a subset of the population. Let's go back. Describes data through numerical summaries. Tables and graphs. Inferential. Taking results from a sample extends them to the population and measures the reliability of the result. And a lot of the statistics that we do receive is inferred. It is inferential. Like, especially when they, I would say probably wow, this is probably a long time ago, when they said like let's say it's the Grammys, and they say that, you know, there was about, you know, 28 million people watching it, right? They didn't count how many people were on that channel, and there was 28 million of them, right? It is really what will happen is that they take a small community and then they check to see in that community or that sample how many people were doing it. And then they'll infer that out to the population. So let's say 23 people were watching it out of, I don't know what our population is. Let's say it's like 74 million, right? Out of 23 out of 74 of these people were watching the Grammys. Then they would infer that out to the population, saying, well, since there's 74 million and 23 of these 74 people were watching it, that means 23 million people must have been watching it. Okay, so that is pretty much what that is. However, there is one more step that they do, and I just said do, is that they actually measure the reliability of that result. So they will actually have to go out there and do more smaller communities to see if that is the case. If it consistently 23 out of 74 people are actually watching this, then they can go, okay, these results are matching up. Then they can go, okay, cool, it must match the population then. Okay. Now the next one is called parameter. So apparently parameter is something, so let me write down the definition really quick so that you guys can actually see this. It's a numerical summary of a population. Now, I want to show you guys the difference of that with statistics here. Because the thing of it is that I gave you a definition of statistics up here, right? It says the science of collecting, organizing, summarizing, analyzing information to draw conclusion. The short version of statistics is that it is a summary based on a sample. Okay, so there is a difference of these two, and people tend to get confused on the difference of these two, right? So for example, a parameter would be something like this. If we were to say the percentage of FSW students that are Hispanic is at 74%. That's a parameter because we can actually go on the computer and say, okay, let me do a query of, right, of race and Hispanic, boom, done. It will spit out a percentage. Does that make sense? So it's based on the whole population. We're doing a query that comes out that way. We can do it for Chinese people. We can do it for whatever. It's going to spit out that way. But that is hardcore facts, right? We can count them. A statistic would be, hey, we're having free pizza over here under the tents. And in order to get your free pizza, you got to check off which race you're under, right? And So not the whole population is going to go get pizza. Only a sample of people are going to go there, right? Does that make sense? So that is a statistic because it's only taking a sample of people. Make sense? So there, it might only show that 50% are Hispanic, while our data shows that 74%. And I don't know what the true numbers are, right? So in this case, they're going to claim that 50% of our population is. Well, yes and no. 50% of our population, when there's free pizza, happens to be that way. But that's a statistic rather than a parameter. Make sense? Okay. All right. So that's why it kind of is, it's kind of, they're both numerical summaries, but one is based on a sample. Where it's of a population means it's everybody, we can count them. Okay. Okay there? All right. I know. Variables. The characteristics of the individual. Qualitative variables. I'm going to do this definition a little differently, as you guys can see. It's a classification of individuals based on some attribute. It's quantitative. All right, so How do I want to do this? Discrete discrete variable. Is a quantitative variable that has either a finite. You know what? I'm not going to use the either. Has finite number of possibilities or possible value. Continuous. I agree. This is also a quantitative variable. But it has infinite number of possible values. Okay. Like this. I know you guys can't do this on your notepad. Sorry. What the? There you go. Are we okay there? Does that make sense what I just did? Okay. I'm going to stop right there. Any questions on these so far? I know the first week is going to be kind of boring, but once we get into chapter 2, it's when things are going to kind of start to put things into action. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to post this piece right here, this PDF, even though I should have just posted that. But then it becomes kind of like, are you going to read it or not? Right. And I know that some of you guys who had me like the soothing of my voice. So anyways, hey, other than that, remember that based on the schedule that we are going to hit 2.1 and 2.2 on Thursday. Okay. So if you have no other questions,